Okay, I want to start right here, this slope staking class. And you have seen this picture before, I think, in the calculations. I believe it was module week 3. And we showed this view so you could see what a slope is. It looks like a big piece of cheese. But the reason I'm showing it is to remind you that most of the views we'll be seeing throughout this slope staking class, we'll be looking at just this cross-section view here. But as we're looking at that, keep in mind, like when we're setting a slope, we don't set this stake, then this stake, then this stake, because in building the slope, which we will get to, this dirt's not going to be there until we stake it, till we fill up some dirt here. We'll start out at the toe where it's going to be. There won't be anything here. And we'll stake for whatever's practical. These things may be set at 25 feet, 50 feet, or 100 feet on a long straightaway. And then you would set your second slope row of slope stakes down to catch up with this slope. And then you would keep bringing in dirt, and you would set these stakes once you had dirt all the way up here. And this slope would be being finished by the time you got up here, save the offset stakes, which we'll get through in a minute, because those are the information are on those offset stakes that pertain to the building of the slope. So if something happens up here, we can always go back to the offset, pull our horizontal, and establish our verticals. That's what these little lines are representing until we get to the top of the slope. Now, the earth doesn't end here. The world keeps going on. So this may end up flat and being flat, going out into a farmer's field, and there may be a fence row here. But we got to make this slope, and then coming out this way, we may be going back up again to for an embankment of a road bed, a highway going through here. And this is just one of those slopes along the road that you see from time to time. So we'll be looking at this to learn how to set these stakes. But remember, we will set these toe stakes first. Or if it's a cut slope, we will be setting these stakes first, and then we'll be cutting in stair steps on the way down, which we will get to. But this is just not a hunk of dirt laying in the middle of a field. This is relation to the rest of the existing terrain, which we don't know. But this is for teaching purposes. So let me go back to where the slope staking begins, and I think probably that's where the slope staking first part of it ends. So let me just get to the module format, which is going to take us back to the beginning here, right? To this is where I want to start. Finally, slope stakes are set where the planned slope will intersect with the original ground, as shown in the figure below, and other points up or down from them as necessary to build the slope. This is your reference stake, and you'll see it down here. We'll get into that. But as you can see, this point right here is intersecting with the original grade. This configuration here is not here yet. The original grade goes up here, so we're going to have to cut this out. And as when you picture this in 3 dimension, when I'm looking at it, coming toward me is 1 dimension, and going away from me is another dimension. So it's almost like x-axis y-axis and z-axis moving toward us and away from us. So this dirt is just not a slice of dirt. This dirt probably goes on and away from us and toward us. But for right now, to build this at this station, and that's where this would be put at a certain station, it's called a cross section. So we would take this dirt right here and use it to fill so we could build this configuration, the actual inslope going across the road and the back slope. That's what we would be building. So as it says, again, slope stakes are set where the planned slope, this guy right here, intersects with the original ground here and here. And actually, here is a slope stake along the way between here and here and here. This side would be a fill slope. We would start here and we would, using this dirt that we have moved down here, we may have all of this kind of roughed in. We would start constructing this slope from here going up to here. And then this would be cut out level, probably, and then a crown would be put on it going out to the center line from both ways, because water doesn't supposed to run down a road, it's supposed to run off the road. So this would be our top slope, and this would be one of maybe several, as we saw in that first picture we was looking at, that was three-dimensional, maybe one of several going down. And then we may want to put another slope somewhere in here, a slope here that fills us back up. But your dimensions on this reference point to slope stake will take us all the way to the center line. This will be the cut side, so we have a top slope. This begins our finished slope work. And this reference point to slope stake will take us from here all the way to the center line. So these reference points are set out by the right-of-way, away from where the work is, across the construction site, if you will, to the other side of where the right-of-way is, or close to it. The information on this stake tells you what to put on this stake. The information on this stake tells you what to do to get to the center line. Information on this reference stake over here tells you where to put this and what information goes on the toe stake to get you up to the center of the line, to the center line of, in this case, what looks to be a roadway cut out of the side of a little slope here. Okay. Offset stakes are used to prevent the loss of a reference information stake. These are offset. By transferring the required information from the stake located in the immediate area of construction to a new stake set far enough away so that it will not be damaged or destroyed by equipment working in construction. A reference point to slope stake is an offset stake that is used on slopes. It is a reference to the slope stake by horizontal and vertical dimensions. Different people use different things. Some of the state highway departments require different kinds of markings. This is just one of them. This is another one. O/S stands for offset. This is a reference point. Here's your reference point to slope stake. And look at this and kind of keep this in mind, because you see here, this is a cut. So it's going to be here because we have a cut. If this was a fill, we would be probably referring to this reference point, because you see here we have material to fill. to get above the original ground. Okay, so let's just go down this. This is your set of directions coming from this side in this case because it says cut. The reference point to slope stake, that's what that means, in 10 feet level. I want you to cut 10 foot at a 2-to-1 slope. So let's go up here. This stake is telling you where to put this stake. From here, it's saying, I want you to put a top stake in 10 feet out this way and level with me, my reference point. So this reference point is going to be even with the reference point or the hub of the RPSS. It's just telling you to put this top stake out here level with me, and that means you may have to bring in a little bit of dirt to set your top stake so that it is level with this. If it's too high and it wants it to be level, you may have to go ahead and cut off some dirt before you start building your slope so you can get this stake, the reference point on this stake, the same as the reference point on this stake. Two lines. This double line literally means and then. So there's more that the reference point to slope stake wants you to do. You can say, I want you to cut 10 foot at 2-to-1. So that means I want you to go down at 2-to-1, and that's going to put you here. So where is here? So if it's a cut of 10, if it's a cut of 10 feet at 2-to-1, you would take the ratio and multiply it times the vertical to get your horizontal, which would be from here horizontally to here and then down 10 feet. Think about plotting this on a piece of graph paper. This is actually what's happened and what's done in the past before the GPS stuff. The stake is telling you to cut 10 feet at 2-to-1, and that automatically tells you in the circle format. Let's stop this right here and go find the circle just for a second. I should have started off with that, but that's okay, I didn't. Oh, I went to modules. So let's go down to module 4 and let's find this circles percent grade. Take a look. And if you can copy this, copy it, take a screenshot, whatever. I got it over here as a file, so I'm going to have to open the thing. But here it is. And, you know, this was kind of muffed in week 3, but it won't here because this is all you need to know. If you can't copy this or screenshot it, draw it. I drew this and scanned it and put it in my file, and then I was able to upload it to here. But in the case of percent grade, that is the vertical divided by the horizontal. In the case of finding a slope ratio, you take the horizontal and divide it by the vertical. So in the case a while ago, we had a cut of 10 feet. So our 10 foot would be vertical, right? And it told us to do that at a ratio of 2-to-1. This tells me where to put that toe stake, that bottom, where that bottom's going to be, how far out I need to be, because it didn't tell me how far out I needed to be. It just told me to cut it 10 feet at a 2-to-1 ratio. Well, if I take that ratio and if I multiply it by my vertical, which it tells me to do right here, I will get my horizontal. Now, let's just leave that alone for a minute. And while we're here, we probably won't be doing this at all during the slope staking class. But while we're here, if I know my percent grade is 0.02, which is 2%. If I know my horizontal is 100 feet, what's my vertical? 2 feet. Whether it be up or down, that's up to the plans. So that's the way to use these. Now, write them down, draw them, copy them while this is up here, and I'll give you 4 seconds. No, I'll give you just a minute to do that because I'm getting ready to leave here again and go back into the slope staking part of this. So there, if you have trouble, you can go back and find this thing and be done with it. So I'm going to close out of that. I'm going to go back to maybe where I was. Let's see. Slope staking. Hallelujah. So here's where we're talking about. And that's where I found, that's how I know that's 10 feet, is because it says cut 10, that's my vertical. Fill or cut is the vertical. It says cut 10 at 2 to 1. That tells me from this point, I go down 10 feet and I go out 20 feet. Yes, because it's a cut. That's my vertical. And my ratio is 2 to 1. 2 times my vertical equals 20. So I'm down 10 and out 20. And that's where my toe stake is going to be. Now, if I know the elevation of that toe stake, which I can determine if I have the elevation, which I will have the elevation of the starting point, which will be the same elevation here, I can go out here 20 feet and set this stake, and this, I'll know how much to cut. I'll know what this elevation needs to be by subtracting that 10 foot that this reference point to slope stake gave me. It'll have an elevation on it. So 10 foot down, 10 foot minus that elevation, 20 foot out would give me what this elevation is. Okay, now this is a very simple illustration here. And if it was a fill, if we were over here, we would be saying, let's say it's the same thing, fill at 2 feet. And I'm starting here with my toe stake. This over here is showing me again from this reference point, it's a cut of 10 feet from the toe stake. That's what it's saying. But we would have to know more information to get that. And we would remember, this is just taking us to this point right here called, which would probably be the ditch if this was a road. Over here, if it was a road, it would be maybe you would call it the shoulder, or it might be referred to as the hinge point. Those things we'll get into later. So let's move on a little bit. So the top of slope stake indicates the point at which the top of the planned slope intersects with the existing ground or a desired elevation. You may have a desired grade up here. This may be a subdivision and there's a lot down here and there's a lot up here. So you may be going to a desired elevation. It has been reached for some other feature of projects, such as a housing pad. There is a tack, and I don't know, there will be, when a surveyor sets these, there will be a tack in the center of these hubs, and these hubs will be set at a certain elevation. So you use that tack to get your horizontal elevation. For a toe stake would be used in the case of a fill. A toe of slope stake indicates the point at which the bottom of the planned slope intersects with the existing ground or desired elevation has been reached for some other feature or project. So we will be going up from here 8.3 feet, and we would need at 2 to 1. So if 8.3 was my fill, how far away from here would this point be? This would be the 8.3, right? How far away would that be? Well, remember the circles. I have my vertical of 8.3. I don't know my horizontal, but I do know my ratio. So that circle tells me to take that ratio and multiply it times that vertical. The ratio is 2 times the vertical of, in this case, 8.3. That would be 16.6 away. That's where this would be from here, 16.6. Look here at this next one down here. These are both field states. This is field 9 at 2 to 1. So quickly now, you're going to be 9 foot up, and you're going to be 5 foot. You're going to be how many feet in this direction? Well, go back to your slope is 2. Your vertical is 9. You're going to be 18 feet over here. You were 16 something up here, 16.4. So that's a general idea. That's a good starting point for slope stakes. Let's see what's next. There's another stake that's very much a part of slope staking, of staking the slope, even though it is not on the slope itself. That is the line only stake. Now you're getting the benefit of old school by an old guy, so you can't beat that. So you need a line. These slopes, if you go back to that 3D picture I showed you, remember, are these toe stakes are coming toward us and going away from us. We're looking at the profile view. This is the way it looks from a topographical, flying in an airplane over. This slope stake here, this one, and these are slope stakes to build this slope. They're not all put up at once because the dirt or the grade's not there yet. Either it needs to be cut or it needs to be filled. But they're going away from us and they're coming toward us. You'd set all your toe stakes first. So, but we need to keep these slope stakes in line. Look how these things are in line here. Well, that's what this stake is. It's lined up with the offset stake, which is the reference point slope stake, and you can shoot across that stake actually with your hand level and mark where this stake is going to be. And from this stake, you can keep these things lined up. Now, when they're coming towards you and going away from you, you'll be lining them up horizontally, but this is the way you check them. This is old school. Now we have GPS. We don't have to go through all this stuff, but this is what all of that GPS and telematics and automated grade control is based on, these principles, and that's why they're so important. So the only way that you're going to put the toe and all subsequent slope stakes in correct line is to start in exactly the correct direction from the offset. This is accomplished by means of this stake. So these have to go up as we're building the slope to the top in a straight line, as this is showing. It's just going in a different direction. So maybe that's enough about line only. It says right here, though, that you cannot assume that a hub elevation at any offset is the same as the hub elevation for the toe or top of the slope. Get in the habit of reading and absorbing all the information shown on any stake before you proceed with your work. So you remember up here, way up here, it was telling you where to put that slope stake. Right here, down multiplied by the slope of 10 foot, and out 20. This is telling you where to put it. And now here again, we have another, it's just called an offset stake, but let's read. You cannot assume that, so get in a habit of reading the whole stake. If we don't read this, we're not going to know where to set this, because this is telling us where this needs to go. the toe, and then this is the slope. So look and note the information is listed just below the offset distance of 10 feet on the offset stake. This information. It is shown as cut 1 1/10 right here, and means that the toe hub elevation right here is supposed to be 1 1/10 lower than the offset hub elevation. You're going to start with this. This will become your new reference, because this is the stake the surveyor set, and it says telling you where to set this stake first, and then it's telling you what to do from here. So this information would go on this stake, and it would be telling you to fill 11.0 or 11 feet at 2 to 1. So that means you're going to go up, what, 11.2 feet. But how far are you going to go this way? Well, those circles tell us to multiply the slope times the vertical to get the horizontal. So let me get my calculator out and let's just see where we're going to be out here. My slope is 2. Multiply that times my vertical of 11. And that's going to equal, oh, I didn't clear it. 2 times 11 is going to equal 22. Probably could have done that one in my head. But we're going to be up 11 feet and we're going to be over or out or down here where our top of the cut's going to be is going to be 22 feet in this direction and 11 feet vertically up. So we're going to build that slope. The top of the slope's going to be right in here somewhere. Now, we don't know where it is yet, but we got a way to start. And we're going to talk about building that slope stake before we're through here. What's next? Well, it's building a field slope. So I think I want to stop there. I don't want to make these things go on and on and on. This is going to be taking what we have learned and moving forward. So let's end this let's end this slope staking section right here, and then I'll put up another video for building a slope stake, and I'll get that posted on here as soon as I can before you get here.